I still remember the joy of that first positive pregnancy test. My growing tummy, those magical kicks, that first scan picture, the glowing skin, maternity shoots. And as for buying those cute little outfits and buying every gadget you could think of, I couldn't wait. Unfortunately, this vision of pregnancy couldn't be further from the truth. My reality. My name is Jemma Martin. I'm a midwife and a hyperemesis gravidarum survivor. Picture being 6 weeks pregnant and waking up every morning, not with the glow of pregnancy, but with the fear and dread of another day, another hour, another minute stuck to a sick bowl. And I'm not talking about your occasional queasiness, no. I'm talking about violent, relentless vomiting and horrendous nausea, 30, 40 times a day. Your body weak, shutting down, your lips cracked, your throat raw from bile acid. You can't eat, you can't drink, you can't speak, you can't move. What was this? This could never be pregnancy, but it was. It was a hyperemesis gravidarum pregnancy, also known as HG. Let me tell you what hyperemesis is and what it looks like for many sufferers. But before I do, I want to make it very clear. It is a severely debilitating pregnancy condition. So severe, it can hospitalize a woman and break her mentally. It feels like a fight for survival. Imagine not being able to bear the smell of water. Yes, water. And not being able to keep it down either. I lost just over a quarter of my body weight in 3 weeks. I was exhausted, tired. I didn't know what to do. I recall one doctor telling me to eat crackers. I wanted to ask if he'd ever tried eating crackers with a dry mouth, dehydrated, and barely conscious. Another doctor recommended I terminate the pregnancy and try again next year. The lack of empathy was as painful as the condition itself. I remember bursting into tears, feeling lost, confused, and completely shattered. A termination of pregnancy, my wanted pregnancy, and yet I know I am not alone. There are many women who have to make the heartbreaking decision to terminate a wanted pregnancy. But as for me, I wanted my pregnancy. I wanted my baby. I needed help to survive. Instead, I was recommended ginger. I could barely keep down my saliva. And here's the thing. Would you recommend ginger to a severely unwell patient with a heart condition? Or an unwell patient needing a blood transfusion? Probably not. So why was it an appropriate option for a pregnant woman, dehydrated, suffering malnutrition, and secretly wondering if she'll make it through another day? I remember speaking to 2 women. One woman told me of the mental toll of hyperemesis. She was in daily tears, not because she didn't want her baby, but because the mental toll and the suicidal thoughts terrified her. Another experienced the cycle of trying to find the perfect medication combination just to enable her to eat a quarter of a sandwich, all while remembering what the GP had told her, that she might be harming her baby. Research shows that hyperemesis affects up to 4% of pregnancies. That's thousands of women right now suffering in silence alone. But I believe this number to be higher, as women are being misdiagnosed and some healthcare professionals are failing to treat women urgently. 32% of HG survivors experience suicidal thoughts. Just give that a minute. A staggering 50% will experience trauma throughout their pregnancy. That's half of this room. So it's no wonder that the top predictor for HG is postnatal depression, with 18% of survivors meeting criteria for PTSD. The UK barely has statistics. This is because this debilitating condition is not on women's health agendas, which means there's no funding for research to take place. The UK is said to be one of the safest places to give birth, yet we are failing women with hyperemesis. Can you imagine what is happening globally? I'm a midwife, a healthcare professional, a mother of 3, but I couldn't save myself when I needed to the most. I was dismissed and I was ignored. How difficult it must be for women who don't have a medical badge to defend their pain. And let me say it plainly, being a black woman added another layer. I wasn't seen as vulnerable. I was meant to be strong because that's the narrative that's been fed. In the UK, black women are just under 4 times more likely to die in pregnancy, childbirth, and a 6-week period after. The 5 times more Black Maternity Experiences Report 2025 gathered information from 1,164 Black and Black mixed heritage women across the UK. The report found that hyperemesis was the 3rd highest pregnancy-induced condition, yet this condition is not a priority. In addition, black women are most likely to have their pain and feelings dismissed. And we are twice as likely to be hospitalized compared to white women. In maternity care, black women are literally fighting for survival. And that bias can be deadly. You grieve the pregnancy you thought you'd have, your connection to your baby, the version of yourself that existed before the vomiting took over. And yet you continue. You keep going. Barely. So what does good care look like? My hope came in the form of Leslie. She was amazing. She was more than a midwife. She held my hand when I needed it the most, through one of the darkest times in my life. She never had HG, but she validated my experience and understood what I was going through. She never let me down. I survived. I made it through. But here is the heartbreaking reality of HG. Jess, a hopeful mother, and her baby Elsie lost their lives due to gaps in education, fear of prescribing medication, and miscommunication between healthcare professionals. Jess pleaded for help. That is a devastating example of HG. And the reality is, I could have been Jess. I have 3 beautiful children, not forgetting my 2 precious pregnancy losses. I have scars that you can't see. I stand here today, not just as a survivor, but as a midwife and a healthcare professional. I will never ignore a woman's voice, because I know what it likes to be silenced, to be ignored. So, what do we do? How about a national hyperemesis care pathway? Standards that all trusts have to show their commitment to show their commitment to HG care from a start. To my fellow midwives, clinicians, and healthcare providers, we are the solution. I'm fulfilling my part by standing here and speaking today. The question is, will you do yours? Prescribe the medication confidently. Push for IV fluids. Don't let the fear of expenses cost a woman her hope and her health. Trust your gut, but trust hers more.